Thank you. So it's our last day in the Youth Peace Week, although we still have e-learning, which will be open some extra days until 12 July. And today we are talking with Sylvia Ivanova. Hello, good morning, Sylvia.
Good morning. Good morning.
Who is Sylvia is deputy head at the European Youth Foundation, which is an institution that is working on providing support to projects presented by youth organizations. And Sylvia, thanks for being here. Welcome to Youth Peace Week, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, and good morning to all. And I'm really honored and happy to talk to you. I see a lot of participants. I regret that it is not in person, that it's on a screen, but I'm really pleased to be with you this morning. I know that it's the last day. I will not torture you too much. I will try to tell you a couple of things about the foundation, the European Youth Foundation, to tell you what this foundation is about, what kind of support it provides, how it works, and I hope to engage in discussion with you to see if you have questions and that we can interact a little bit together. I was asked if I have prepared a presentation. No, so we will be looking at each other, talking a little bit, and then if I need to show you something, I would prefer to send it to you later as a follow-up to our discussion. In that way, we will be more concrete and respond to concrete questions as well. So thank you very much for inviting me, the organizers. Again, I'm very pleased to be here. The European Youth Foundation, what is it? It is an instrument of the Council of Europe Youth Sector. It was established quite a lot ago, in 1972. It was established to promote cooperation and peace and understanding of young people in Europe. It is an instrument. Why it is an instrument? Because it facilitates, it supports implementation of priority topics which are defined by the youth sector of the Council of Europe. The foundation is a fund because it provides funding, as it says. It provides funding, but also it's a partner. The foundation is a partner because it interacts with the organizations applying for funding. It provides advice and guidance. And we are proud to say that we accompany organizations in their applications, but also in the way they prepare their projects. So the foundation is part of the Director General of Democracy and the Youth Department that you know now very well after this Youth Peace Week. I assume that you had time to understand, to listen to what are the priorities of the youth sector of the Council of Europe, so I would not go into that. I will tell you what the foundation supports. The foundation supports educational activities organized by youth organizations, not individuals, but youth organizations, for young people and with young people. It funds activities by national youth organizations, non-governmental, or international non-governmental youth organizations or networks of organizations. It supports activities. Activities which promote the implementation of the priorities of the youth sector, as I mentioned before. In this introduction, I would also like to mention that the foundation, the members of the foundations are the Council of Europe member states, but also the countries which have signed and ratified the European Cultural Convention, the parties, the countries which are, in addition to the member states, Belarus, Kazakhstan, and Holy See. So they can also have a direct interaction and a say in the work of the foundation. Now, what does the foundation support? I mentioned activities by youth organizations for and young people. It provides grants to national activities, to international activities, or to, we call that work plans, which can be a sequence of activities during 1 year, which is called a work plan. Now, I thought it might be interesting, following a discussion, the international activities that the foundation supports, as well as to about the national activities. We call them pilot activities. So we provide, the foundation provides grants which can be up to 10,000 euros for the organization and implementation of national activities called pilot activities. The pilot activities are usually organized by national, local, or regional non-governmental organization, and would look at an issue, at a problem, at a challenge that young people face locally. The pilot activities, as the name say it, pilot, would have an innovative aspect, would create the foundation, the basis of something which can be developed further afterwards. A pilot activity should have a clear local need to a local change, to a local impact. And I will explain a little bit what we mean by that later. The pilot activity, of course, should, as I said before, very linked to we call them focus themes, the priorities defined by the youth sector at the Council of Europe. You will find them on our website. This is important. Now, each and every activity that is funded by the foundation is based on, should have an educational aspect in it, and should be based on non-formal education. This is essential. I mean, why? Because the foundation would like to support the development of knowledge, the promotion of knowledge, promotion of awareness, so that to multiply the how to say, the results of the activities which are supported. This is also why we work with the organizations and not with individuals, because an organization, an youth organization, should be able to work with young people, with youth workers, with youth and young activists to promote multiplication of knowledge. You've heard a lot about that, I guess, during this week. So again, the foundation is an instrument funding to promote all that happening in the field. So I mentioned the pilot activities are national activities, and organizations can apply several times per year to get funding. I mentioned a maximum of 10,000 euros for an activity. An activity can be a seminar, can be a series of meetings of young people, can also include the preparation and the preparation of research or preparation of materials, educational materials, the adaptation of educational materials that the Council of Europe also produce, and the promotion. So it is extremely important. I hope to be able to come back later on that with your questions. But a successful activity for the foundation is an activity which would respond to a clearly identified local needs of young people, would have well-established objectives, what we want to do, where we want to go, would have a clear educational process, so prepare participants who will be then able to go back to their organizations or environment or community and promote further, take forward the knowledge they acquire, and work with more people, reach out to more young people locally. So this is really important. I'm still talking about national activity. Another type of activities that we fund are the international activities, and here we step up. We step up in terms of funding. They can be funded with a maximum of 20,000 euros, but here we talk about international youth organizations, which have branches in at least 7 member states of the foundation, or a network of at least 7 youth organizations. The international activities can be also organized by national NGOs, youth NGOs, but this time they will have to work in partnership with at least 3 other national organizations from other countries or international organizations or networks. All that I'm telling you now can be found on the website, so I don't want to go too much into detail. I would like to see your questions, so I will not be too much detailed. All that you will be able to find on the website. I mentioned, I prepared a little bit, wanted just to see if, yes, an important point that I was asked to mention by our good organizers is indeed that if you would like to partner with the foundation to get funding and to work with the foundation, you will have to register. The registration is the first step for a organization to enter into a communication with the foundation and to be able to apply for funding. So there is a dedicated online system where your organization can register, can apply for registration. Why apply? Because, as I mentioned, it will be the first step where we will start communicating with you online. And that's one of the particularities of the foundation, is that we talk to you online, we interact with you. So the moment you decide to register, you will have to do it online, and we will look at your application. If it is clear and sufficient enough and responds to the criteria, which are well explained, we believe, on the website, and the profile is not complete, or we need more information from you, we will ask you to tell us who are you, how many people work in your organization, what is the age of your people, because it is important that we work with youth organization. what are the activities you implement, because we want you to be relevant for us. What was your activity in the previous year, to share with us some reports. So we want to know who are you before we invite you to apply. So this is the registration process. So you will have to do that before we start application process. So yes, I think this is my general introduction. Yeah, let me listen to your questions if you have any at this particular moment, and then we see how we continue. Would that be okay, Ramon?
Yeah, that would be good. Just let you know that I share the website of the European Youth Foundation as well as the registration information, so that they have it. And with that in mind, just thanks a lot, Sylvia, especially for explaining that detail, how to do a successful application. And with this in mind, I would like to open the floor. I'm looking at the chat, so if you ever want to ask some question, some curiosity, I think it's a good opportunity that we have Sylvia here. I'm looking at the chat, so please share your name if you want to ask some question. Okay, I see Igor. Igor, the floor is yours.
Thank you for the floor. Good morning, everyone. I would like to thank for the presentation, and I have a small question about funds. I wonder whether the foundation provides funds for the youth organization from non-recognized states, or are there any funds provided to hold activities in the territory of non-recognized states? Thank you.
Shall I go with the response to this question, or you want to collect questions? Yeah. Okay. Let's
No,
do that. So
let's go one by one.
Yeah. Okay. So others can get strengths and ask for questions as well. Good. Igor, thanks for the question. The statutes of the foundation say that the foundation can provide financial support to European youth activities that promote peace, understanding and cooperation between the people of Europe and of the world in a spirit of respect for human rights and fundamental freedoms. And of course, in the areas of work relevant to the Council of European Policy. Now, I mentioned that members of the foundation are the member states of the Council of Europe and the parties of the signatory parties of the European Cultural Convention. Now, what I would suggest and what I think is the best way for young people who deserve it and who should participate in European activities, in activities funded by the foundation, is to take part as participants. I'm sure that youth and young people from non-recognized member states or from areas with particular status can work already with organizations which are members of the foundation. And I think that would be the best way to benefit from funding of the foundation, is to participate in activities organized by youth organizations, national or international, partnering with the foundation. And that way they would benefit directly from the funding. Your organizations, if you have any organization in mind, you can also contact us, write to us to inquire, particularly if you have a more specific question. And we will be very open and happy to look at it specifically. Now, what I'm talking about are countries which are outside Europe and who are youth people and organizations are willing and happy to contribute to the European, to activities with European character. The foundation was established and will continue to provide funding to activities with European character. So whoever is able to contribute to that may benefit from the funding. So that would be from me now, and I invite you to all organizations which would like to explore further possible work with the foundation, simply to contact us or to apply for registration, and then we will talk to you. Okay?
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I would have one question. Okay, I see Sabrine in the chat, so I will hold my question to later on. Sabrine, the floor is yours. We cannot hear you. Let me see. Okay.
Sorry,
good.
It's better now. Good morning, everyone. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for all this useful information. So from what I understood, it's more, you interact more with organization because you need to something with very, which is very effective, and it's more for education and all this important things. But do you do some exceptions? Maybe if, I don't know, there is 3 people who are very engaged and have something very important, I don't know, very important project, and have studied really good the locally conditions of their country or the need of the youth people, sorry for my English, it's quite good. I'm trying. Do you do some exception and study really project by project and not organization by organization? I don't know if you understood my question, but is it very strict or more open and we can negotiate?
Sabrine,
Thanks a lot,
thank
Sabrine. Sylvia, yeah.
Sorry, Ramon, I got. Thank you, Sabrine. The foundation is an organization which is funded by the Council of Europe member states, and we are, we are spending, let's say, public money. We have to respond to very clear rules. And the rules and regulations, this is also something that you can find on our website, are not negotiable, at least not by ourselves, the Secretariat. They may be negotiable by the Committee of Ministers of the Council of Europe or by the decision-making, the statutory bodies of the youth sector. So I'm sorry to say that no, we can't negotiate. But if you are, so we work with the organizations, and that's very clear and straightforward. We work with the organizations because it is very important for us as well to build the capacities of the organizations. It has more impact. It has more, reach out, and that's important. Now, if you are 3 people, 3 young people, and with great ideas, you have maybe 2 options, maybe more, you will tell me. But for me, one option would be that you register as a non-governmental organization, you do your registration, and you have to, I invite you to run through the criteria for registration with the foundation. You will see that you have to have own bank account of the organization, which is independent, which is made by young people. That's one option. And then you come to us. Second option for me would be, again, as I mentioned before, is to sell your ideas or work with friends from some organizations that you know already or you work already with. So you have choice. You are not free young people absolutely abandoned in this world. So I'm sure that you will find a way to work with the foundation.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I have a question which is maybe related by Sylvia. So feel free to answer if you think it's addressing the same thing. Sylvia is asking, can NGOs not officially registered in the state cooperate with you as an initiative group who had similar activities before?
It's very similar again. I mean, it's important that also I come back to the funding that we use is that we don't only use the funding, we don't only give the funding to youth organizations, but we report back. And there are clear regulations and we have to report back on that funding. And we have to know where this funding goes, who uses it, and how it is used. And this is why we have, for the moment, we have a very, strict, we can be flexible sometime. And this is why I invited you to contact us when you, if you have a particular case or you'd like to explore possible work, but you must be an organization and talk to us, write to us to see if your case can be, subject to some flexibility. But as a general rule, we work with registered organizations. And we have to be able to trace, to see where the funding goes, to report back to the donors. And I think you all understand that specifically now, in difficult times we live today. Yeah?
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I see a question by Laszlo, and then I see Sabrine who would have another. Laszlo, do you want to go?
Yeah, it's partly more a comment, but also I have a question. So it's just so that we don't get stuck on this question of having is it good or not to have an NGO, or if you need an NGO. I would say that from my experience, it's always an advantage if you can work with an organization. So either if you start your own organization, which can be a very empowering and interesting process, or if you just join another one, I think you can always just benefit from it, because organizations have a certain knowledge piled up that you can use in implementing your projects. If you have an organization, it might mean more recognition by the local community, by the government, by authorities, and by other young people. And also there is the administrative part of it, that simply there is no organization that provides grants that just can send money to a bank account of an individual. You need some administrative support. Also, organizations usually have people who work specifically on the finances, on accountancy, which is again a big burden, and you should not underestimate that when you are working on a project. So it's always very good to have a kind of a solid organizational background, because it might also help you to focus on the content of your project and so on. So in general, I would always encourage you to go into that direction, because I would say there are rather only advantages and no disadvantages of that. It might require a bit of a work and investment, but I think it pays off at the end. And also what I can say that on behalf of our team, we work on education and training activities in the youth centers, I'm very happy to help any of you. If you drop me an email, if you want to get in touch with some youth networks, I'm very happy to support you. Just let me know. I might also offer this on the Facebook page, and you can tell me if I can help you out somehow there. And the question is to Sylvia, that can you mention any interesting project maybe that the Youth Foundation supported in relation to youth and peace building? You might want it to come back to that point later on, but just to put it on the table, I would be really curious to hear. Thank you.
Thanks, Laszlo. Thanks for the offering. Sylvia.
Thank you very much. I knew that if participants would not ask too many questions, my colleagues will be very happy to do so. So I prepared, indeed. And thank you very much. And thank you very much first for the comment, which was, I fully agree with that. And an organization is more powerful than a person. And as Laszlo mentioned, capacity is important. To have the good capacity to apply, it is really helpful. I mean, the foundation is not Erasmus+. It's not another huge financial instrument. We are a small organization, but still we require quality. We require work and quality applications, indeed, and quality follow-up, which includes reporting. So that, again, it's not negotiable. It's very, very important, and an organization is better placed than an individual to follow that. So, Laszlo, thanks for the comment. Now, regarding the question, I digged a little bit in our system, and I found 2 or 3 very interesting projects which were successful, and one actually followed up to the Youth Peace Camp 2018, and it was an activity which was a 6-day training for 20 young participants in a country to raise awareness about social inclusion, peace, and anti-discrimination of internally displaced persons, minors. And the organization which applied decided to do that through visual arts. Again, I'm going back to this educational aspect, but also the non-formal education methodology. So to say that this project, following the Youth Peace Camp, was based on several workshops were organized following the Youth Peace Camp in 2018. And they let the organization understand that needs were in place in that country, and that many young people, but not so young, in communities were not aware and should have been, more informed about informed of what everything which links to social inclusion, to promote peace. So the organization decided to train these young people and to prepare them, give them skills and knowledge, to prepare them to use some materials and go back in the community, in their communities, and spread the information in schools, in different gatherings, to talk about and to promote inclusion of young displaced persons. So that was the output which was delivered with this project funded by the foundation was really had an educational, objective through art like photography, videos, paintings, songs, to promote inclusion of young people. And that was, it was a good output because it was, the youth organization was able to promote it, to promote it online, but also for young participants to use it, to use the videos, to go to schools, to show them to local citizens, to promote inclusion. So that was an interesting project, and I liked it because it was also following up the peace camp. Another project that I picked up was called Together for Inclusion and Intercultural Dialogue, and it was a series of meetings and a training course to tackle the topic of violent extremism and radicalization. And the youth organization which received funding for that, had a training course which brought together a number of participants who prepared themselves, together with the guidance, of course, of the organization, a resource pack for youth workers, and also youth strategy that they can then bring back again to their communities and promote locally. What we very much liked in this project, which was funded, was that the young people who participated in the training session, they developed this resource pack with information, with pictures, with guidance. But they also took this guide and they went back to their communities and organized themselves. They organized workshops for other young people, and where the participants themselves were facilitating them. So it was a really good project and funded by the foundation. So I think these two are good. I have a couple of others, but let me have more questions if you have.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I just want to share a comment by Sabrine when she was asking. She's saying that when it comes to innovation in education, we, I guess, her organization, we don't recognize ourselves as organization. That's why I asked. And she's saying, but thanks for answering. Okay, I also have questions, but I keep them for whenever participants don't have more. And I see Anastasia who would have a question. Anastasia, the floor is yours.
Very brief. Thank you so very much for giving us the insights. Can you hear me? It's written that my microphone has been...
Yes, I can hear you very well.
Thank you. And so my question is, I understand the importance of creating an NGO, that it is indeed easier, to somehow track the process, especially for such a big foundation as yours is. And my question is there a minimum, so to say, age of the organization? You've mentioned that there are projects that the organization had to do and to report on previously before we kind of apply for the foundation. But those projects have to be within the, after the establishment of the organization. Or if, for example, we decided to establish the organization a bit later than we started, doing the projects and everything. How does this have to be? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for the question. Indeed, we work with the young people from 15 to 30 years old. So for us, it's important that it's up to 30. Of course, here we can be flexible sometime because we know that sometimes expertise comes with a little bit less young people. But the projects and the organizers, they should be for up to 30. Now, regarding the registration and the establishment of an NGO, here we, of course, we would like to work with organizations which are able to show us that they have successful activities, that they are able to work with young people, that they produce results. That's important. Now, if you are a recently registered NGO, and you don't have records of activities as the NGO was registered recently, then we are also sufficiently flexible to listen to your own experience. So members who have established this organization would have had some experience, and they would have supported projects. So this is something that we will take into account as well when we talk to you during the registration process. So if you don't have an annual report of the NGO signed by Erasmus+, it doesn't mean that that we will not talk to you and we will not consider your own experience.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I would have a question. Well, I see Sophia who is saying yes. I don't know if that means that she would have a question. But in the meantime, as she says in the chat, I would just have a question that maybe you can include in some of the answers, and is that contrary to other granting schemes which are more focused on finance and on financing, I think that at the European Youth Foundation you put a lot of attention as well on supporting supporting the projects, not only from a financial viewpoint, but also on helping them educationally to have a nice project. And I don't know if you could elaborate on this as okay. No, Sophia is saying that yes, she could answer. Anastasia, thanks a lot. So I don't know if you could elaborate a little bit on this, on more on the educational support that you may be giving at the foundation.
Thank you very much, Ramon. Thank you for this challenge. I will be talking under the critical eye of the educational advisors, my colleagues from the educational division. So I will be very careful what I say here. But indeed, as I mentioned, we have to report to our donors, and we have to be able to provide quality information. And something that I didn't mention previously is that the decisions on grants are taken by a programming committee on youth, which is a statutory body of the Council of Europe, which is a co-managed body of the Council of Europe. Co-managed, why? Because it involves young people, representatives of youth organizations, national or international, and it also involves representatives from ministries, from the government, ministries responsible for youth in member states. So this programming committee on youth takes decisions and read your applications. And this programming committee requires quality paper and quality work as well. So what we do is that during the application process, once you apply for funding, you will have to follow guidance and apply online for funding. You have forms to fill in, questions to respond to. And they are questions, basic questions like what you want to do, what is the topic you address, how you want to do it. It's about the methodology you will adopt. What are the learning outcomes you want to get out of your activity? The skills, the knowledge you want to teach your participants, but also the objectives. So all these questions that you have to answer, if they are not complete or they are not good enough, but we see that there is a potential for development, during a communication process, which will last for about 2 weeks, we will ask you additional questions. We will communicate and discuss with you, and we would expect that, of course, you will try to respond to our questions, to do the necessary effort to adapt. And this we consider as a part of the educational guidance, let's say, advisory, the advice that we provide in addition to the grants. Now, Another type of activities that we would organize, but this time as a foundation, as an organization, is that we would regularly do training sessions on how to prepare good projects for the foundation. This is usually done nationally. So we would go in a country and we would organize in cooperation, in very close cooperation with the ministry responsible for youth, a training session for NGOs, for national NGOs. So this year, which is a very particular year, very disturbed by the COVID pandemic, we didn't have this opportunity, and I guess we will have to do some online session in the second half of the year. But this is a kind of a training that we also provide to help youth organizations to be able to draft good projects for the foundation. We also do information sessions for international NGOs. They usually take place in Brussels because many of the international NGOs are based there. This year we will open that online. So how to say, I don't want to give big promises, but we are planning for the second half of this year to have a couple of online sessions on how to write good projects for the foundation. So we consider this part of the educational effort that we provide in addition to the funding. So it is interesting to know that when you apply for funding with us as an organization, there are there are free options for development. One is that you are successful, you get the funding. The second one is that you are not successful, but you are promising. So we would, the Programming Committee on Youth may consider that your application needs some further development and will let it back to you with the possibility to resubmit it. We call that resubmission. And the third one is the less good one that you will not have, of course, is, depending on the quality you present, is the rejection. So again, this resubmission possibility is a way to help you develop the quality of your applications. And I noted something that I forgot to tell you previously about the international activity. When you apply for an international activity, if you are an international organization or you are local national or you are a national organization but work with partners, you will have to co-fund your project. I mean, the foundation would provide funding up to 20,000 euros for an international activity, but it is to fund 2/3 of the total cost of the project. So you have to think about co-funding here. Yes, so yeah, that's it from me now.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I was looking at Laszlo's face and his face was okay. So don't worry that you didn't say anything that apparently was too shocking. Thanks
sorry, I want to add something here. It's important. Good you mentioned Laszlo. Yes, it is what we also very much do and we like to do and we will do in future is that we work and we will work further close with educational advisors from the youth department and from the pool of experts of the youth department. We will do that for our training sessions. So good educational advisors will accompany us for that. And also when we recommend, because even when we reject, we, the foundation, the programming committee rejects an application, the organization will find in the letter a list of recommendations on what to focus on or how to develop further to get a successful project based on what they presented, of course. So there are many ways that we also recommend work that youth organizations call the educational advisors to work with them closely. And they can always plan, you can always plan your organization some funding for that in your projects.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I see one additional question by Igor. I don't know if we have some 3-4 extra minutes, because I would like to finish on time, as we have another session in 30 minutes. Maybe it can be something of a short answer. Igor was asking if, in addition to Anastasia's question, so on the NGO status and so on, were there other criteria for NGOs, for example, the size of organization, its members, who are the founders, etc.?
The criteria is not so detailed. You will find it on the website. Indeed, there are a number of hard criteria that we mentioned. Age, organization registered, so that we can see where the money goes. A bank account, independence. We want that the organization is independent. And age I mentioned. So please go to the website to look at that. Look at the criteria. Be very careful, and please pay attention to what we leave on the website, because it is really important. I mean, we are a very small organization. We are not big organization. We are a small organization, and we try to interact with you as much as possible. But because we are a small organization and we don't have too many people in our team, we really ask you to study well the conditions, the criteria, the examples of projects which are supported, so that you come to us prepared, and that we can give you as much as we can within the time we have, but not starting from zero. So please go to the website. Yes, and that's extremely important. I will tell you why. Because we had the foundation, as we mentioned, as a flexible instrument. We were able to respond to the COVID pandemic situation in a very, straightforward way, by announcing and implementing a special call for young people, young organizations wishing to promote, to face, to respond to challenges also provoked and by the COVID pandemic. And we found the foundation, we found ourselves under a huge number of applications for registrations. They were more than 200 in 2 months, while we usually receive 10 or 20. But organizations, of course, not always looked attentively on what the criteria is for registration, but also for application. Now we are looking at a batch, at a set of applications which are COVID related as well, and that we would have been, happy if organization would have looked more carefully at the criteria, because it is really important. I mean, we are flexible, but we have rules which we should respect, and that you should respect as well. So please go to the website and look at it, and then come to us, and let's have a nice cooperation. Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Sylvia. I would recall this message on double check the criteria in the website, where actually everything is very well explained. And before closing, I look at the team. I look at Laszlo to see if he feels if there is anything else we need to tackle before closing.
I think nothing special for now. I was just wondering if tomorrow you still want to have a kind of more informal sessions. If you have some questions to discuss about what support is available, maybe we can organize something also tomorrow. It was not foreseen, but tomorrow was still to be dedicated to sharing and learning. So if you want to open a video seminar, we can be available maybe with the team members, or I can be around. Let's see, maybe later on, or let us know.
Let's see later on. We have some colleagues. We have colleagues in the office as well, so I can let you meet some of my colleagues, and we can discuss a little bit further. But please let us know. Huh?
And also, of course, to say that my experiences with the colleagues at the foundation is that they are really easy to reach out to. So if in the later on in the upcoming weeks you want to have more questions in mind, please feel free to contact me or Sylvia, and then we will get back to you, because I know that more questions will come up if you have a look at the webpage as well. But we are really there to support. So please don't hesitate. And thank you very much for being with us, Sylvia. And also thank you for the questions for everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
So, with this in mind and with this easiness to reach, I would like to thank once again Sylvia for being here and for sharing with us the work and the opportunities that the European Youth Foundation is offering. And I would close just with a reminder that in 30 minutes we will have our closing of the Youth Peace Week. It will be the official closing, but as Laszlo was reminding, still tomorrow there may be some spaces to work. And I hope I will see you in half an hour for our closing. See you soon, and thanks again.
Ramon,
yes,
just a technical question. The closing is on this same room of Blue Jeans?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. See you later then. I will come.
Bye.